If you don't know me, I love all types of automobiles, but for some reason, I truly love my BMWs. They leak, they break, they spin rod bearings, but there's just something so special about the way they drive and perform that keeps me coming back to them despite all the headaches. In the last 5 or so years though, bargain M cars just don't seem to exist anymore. So I've been searching for the next cheap chassis in the BMW lineup, and I think I've found a real hidden gem here. The BMW E61 Wagon. This one is a 2009 535 Xi, which means it's all-wheel drive, M Sport, which is also a true rare option for a wagon, and all for the sum of 7,000 Canadian dollars or 5,000 or so US dollars. This car does have 220,000 kilometers on it, so about 136,000 miles, but it's in pretty good shape given that it's been driven in the winters up here in the Rust Belt of Ontario. The engine is a 300 horsepower twin turbo inline 6 that has plenty of potential to make a lot more power. My goal here is to build a fast, fun, affordable family and parts hauler that can truly be used every day, and thanks to eBay Motors, we're gonna make that a reality. But there's a bit of a plot twist here. This car will debut at a car meet called Vulture on September 7th, so the pressure's on to get it done in time. We're also collabing with Carl Conrad, who is a fellow Canadian technology and automobile content creator, and during my call with him, he came up with what I think is a brilliant idea to level up this build.
You know what I was honestly thinking? Even though I'm so, in the tech space very forward, I have a bit of a soft spot for the analogness. My GT3 is manual, and I know you guys do some crazy stuff on your channels.
Okay.
Is it possible if we could somehow get some sort of manual swap? That would truly be, I think, like a really cool project.
So it's official, guys. We are doing a manual swap on the wagon. And this build is gonna be an ambitious one, but I have high hopes of delivering a surprisingly great BMW that is often overlooked and slept on. For those of you that are not in the know, obviously a manual is more engaging, more fun to drive, and these automatics aren't exactly known to be reliable. This one's starting to show signs of clunkiness, so I figured that's a great reason to replace it with this one, which by the way was sourced through eBay from a Canadian seller, and it was delivered here to my door at a very, very reasonable price. And you have to be careful though, because there are several different versions of this gearbox. So for example, with this car, there are rear-wheel drive and all-wheel drive versions, and using the My Garage feature on eBay, there is a fits your car check mark, which ensures that this is going to fit an all-wheel drive E60. So that is a fantastic feature that eBay does offer for almost every vehicle. So there are a few different ways to do this manual swap, and one of them is to convert over to the manual gearing, which includes replacing the front and rear diffs, because the manual gears are actually taller versus the automatic ones. I think a 308 versus a 346, but I'm gonna keep the 346 gears because it makes sense. It's gonna make for quicker acceleration, and it's just gonna add a couple extra RPM on the highway, so definitely worth it. So what that means is we basically have to drop the gearbox out of here and put up the manual one with all the associated stuff. And that does make it a much easier job than having to change this out. As you can see, we'd have to be dropping subframes and all this stuff. If you're intimidated by a swap like this, don't be, because as I found out, it's not as hard as it seems. We began by dropping the exhaust, which comes down in one long piece. We then took off copious amounts of heat shielding, but of course, a few fasteners were so rusty, we had to cut them off. That exposed the drive shaft, which has 6 bolts at the back, 3 up front, and 2 holding the center carrier in place. This being an all-wheel drive car, the front drive shaft also comes off, and we began disconnecting all the necessary wiring, draining the oil, and getting rid of the oil cooler lines. Don't forget about the auto transmission flex plate bolts, which hold the torque converter to the engine. Without removing those, the transmission's not going anywhere. We're fortunate enough to have a transmission jack, which makes removing the auto transmission a true carefree job.
DP, why don't you tell the people, what was that? An hour and a half?
I think
An hour.
maybe 2 hours, I don't know.
Okay, I'll give you 2 hours, but this was pretty straightforward. Next up here, we are going to remove the flex plate
And that is a two-man job. You can see Dave's got the crank, and I've got the bolt back here, because these are got tight. And DP, I gotta ask you a question. What do you think? What are the odds here, guys? Are we gonna find a leaking main seal? Or is this gonna be a leak-free main seal BMW here?
I mean, I would always say leaking if it's a BMW, but this car seems remarkably dry.
Oh, wow, this one.
I'm sliding on the floor here.
These are. Did I say these are tight, or did I say these are tight? Wow,
tight,
it's next level. You ready again?
All right,
We're gonna crack a crankshaft here.
Yep.
Wow. So let's see what this looks like behind the flex plate, and it's pretty clean, DP.
It does,
except, what is that?
There is a tiny drop there.
That is a tiny drop. Oh, it's an aftermarket
You think it's been
unit.
done once?
I think it's been done once. Yeah.
That would explain
so.
the absurd uneven torquing of that flex
Maybe.
plate.
You see, there's not a lot of leaking coming
Exactly.
from the oil pan gasket, which has been done on this vehicle before. So we are now moving on into the interior, where I am going to end up removing a lot of this to access this here, which is the automatic shifter. We got to get rid of this, and then we've got to do a pedal swap, which I think is going to be a lot of work. But let's start with this. This shouldn't be too bad. It's just a bunch of plastic trims got to get popped off.
I just wanna I just wanna turn around and I just wanna turn around I just wanna turn around and I just wanna turn around
And there it is, our automatic transmission shifter out. Let's see if this centerpiece here should just pop out here or not. Oh yeah, I've ripped it. They built these chassis to be both automatic and manual, so you can see just a small little cup like this is holding us away from getting a gear shifter in here. We are moving on to what I think is going to be one of the most tedious parts of this job, and that is to install the third pedal here, the clutch pedal. However, we are also going to swap over the brake pedal. And you can see this assembly I also got off of eBay. What I'm thinking is this bracket is actually the same as the automatic one. It is just missing the clutch pedal and the manual brake pedal. So I think I'm gonna task myself with stripping this apart and swapping all of the guts from this onto that one. Unfortunately, I had to call an audible, and that is because the brake pedal would not come out of the bracket because there's this like plastic clip holding it in. So the whole assembly had to come out, and it wasn't all that bad. However, I did have to drop this, which is the motor that controls the forward and up and down controls on the steering wheel. Not easy to get to, but it is there and out, and now I should be able to just reach into here. Oh. And there is our automatic assembly, and this is basically this pin that I'm talking about. As you can see, there's just no way to pop this out. I don't even know how to pop this out when it's out of the car here, but this is a nightmare underneath. No space on this side and no space on this side. Next item here is to remove the pedal. Basically what we're gonna do is remove the kick down feature. However, the grommet that holds this in place, this is so rotted. Like, I just spent about 10 minutes picking the grommet out of here, which is just like a little rubber plug. Oh, I don't wanna strip it.
Yeah.
I don't wanna strip it.
Allens are designed to be stripped.
Wait, it's going. Yes. Oh, we are gonna have to replace this poor bolt. Super clean underneath, but up top, oh, just a full rust bomb here. This is pretty brilliant. This right here is your kick down. As you can see, the pedal would move down, and as soon as you go full throttle right there, that signals, I guess, the transmission. It would downshift and go full throttle, but it's brilliant and it's gonna be pretty easy. I think all I'm gonna have to do is come in here and just pry this out. There you go. That is out. And now, manual pedal. We're gonna have to run a hard line that runs from the master cylinder to the slave cylinder. But thankfully that is not a huge job, and the provisions are probably in place here for it. We just have to peel the carpet back. There's no way you guys are gonna be able to see in here, but way back close to the firewall there is a grommet that needs to be pushed out, and I'm gonna try to do that right now. They're actually harder than you'd think. Okay, there it goes. So there's now a hole there. Sometimes you just never know. This might go through here, or it has to go from the bottom. No, I don't think so. Nope. All right, so this car is going back on the hoist, and we are gonna try to put that hard line in through there. So there you can see our hole that I punched through, and now this. There we go. This is the correct and right way. Pass that through. We're gonna take a quick pause on the manual swap here because this is a great time to do. You guys know what that is? Worn engine mounts. These engine mounts are probably 220,000 kilometers old, and there's just way too much play in them. So we have turned to our good friends over at FCP Euro and ordered a plethora of parts that you will see throughout this build. And the beauty of their parts and everything is they offer a lifetime replacement warranty. So that means you buy a part, you use it, and you can return it and get another part all free of charge. And the driver's side mount looks like it's gonna be fairly easy. The passenger side one, it is buried amongst a drive axle, turbos, and the steering rack. We are gonna have to make some room here to get at this engine mount. And as you can see, I had to take the gearbox off, and now I'm taking the charge pipe off. This is one of the things I do love about the German cars, Dave. These charge pipes, the way they make these clamps, you can see there is an O-ring here. These clamps, when you put them on, you just lock this in place, and now your charge pipe is on, and when you want to remove it, it is super simple. You just pull this back up, and then your charge pipe comes off. The first bolt that I'm gonna attempt to remove, oh man, so loose, is the one that is on top of the engine mount, if you can see down there, right there. We are ready to start dropping the subframe. This mount, oh, yeah. So there is our old engine mount. And you can see it's certainly got years and years of abuse. So we're gonna have to take a pause here because what's gonna happen is if we lower the subframe, this engine is actually gonna just tilt forward. Because we don't have a gearbox on it. Normally the gearbox would probably give it the weight it needs, but because it's not on here, this is kind of a unique situation. Maybe in hindsight, what we should have done is put the gearbox on and then drop the subframe and change this. So here is our newly purchased engine support bar, and as you can see, what it is going to do is hold the engine up. And this is the clever thing I love about BMW. They're always thinking, guess what this is? This is your tow hook for your bumper that they've also built into the engine block here that will support it, which is such a great idea. BMW is always full of great ideas. How they don't know how to figure out why everything leaks all the time and how to fix it, that is beyond me, or maybe on purpose. With the subframe down, you can see we now have plenty of clearance here, and I have one last bolt here holding in this engine mount. Oh, we did it. We did it. There it is. New engine mount. Let's see if I can finagle it in there. Yes. Lined up. And now let's get this all back together. Just tightening up that last bolt there. And now the moment of truth. Was this all worth it? That looks really good, DP.
Yeah, that looks like less movement for sure.
Less movement than before, so yes. Victory there. We're now getting ready to put the flywheel back on and then eventually the transmission. However, we do have these automatic transmission cooler lines right here, which we are going to lop off. Oh yeah, there we go, aluminum. This right here is a pretty beefy flywheel. It does not look like a regular one, and that is because this is a dual mass flywheel. So this actually is two pieces. I can't move them, but there is a damper built into this that absorbs the shock from the clutch. So the clutch you will see is not a sprung clutch. And a lot of people do delete these and go to single mass flywheels, but I found that when you do that, it really takes away a lot of the streetability of a vehicle on these BMWs, and then the transmissions get noisy and all that. So I'm trying to keep this car as street friendly as possible. BMW does state you're supposed to have a special tool to hold the flywheel in place while you tighten everything, but here's my special tool. A pry bar. Got it. With all the bolts torqued, you can see here now, this is that dual mass flywheel I was telling you about. So this right here is what takes up any of that chatter that's usually associated with single mass flywheels. We are moving on to our clutch here, and this is actually an upgrade. This is the 550 or 335 IS clutch, which gives you a little bit more torque capacity, but still maintains that stock feel that you would have in an OE clutch. And the interesting part about this setup is I have never seen the way a flywheel and clutch go together, such as this. So you can see there is our centering pin. Here is our pressure plate. You can see it has this weird tool in the middle, but it does serve a purpose. It holds all the clutch fingers, and I think what it does is it assists in install. If this wasn't here, I imagine this would like push back and provide a lot of resistance. And of course, for torque, they have us going to 15 Newton meters, and now we gotta go to 90 degrees of angle. There we are. And actually, it gives us a torque reading as well, so that's 44 Newton meters, so not too bad. Now, I have no idea what to expect here, so I'm just gonna start twisting. Oh yeah. And don't be like me and almost forget the alignment tool. And you can see, it just comes out like that. And now we are ready for a transmission here. Before we go dropping this gearbox in, we are going to replace some things like this pivot fork and our release bearing here. And this is the pilot bearing. So you can see this is a unconventional style in my opinion. Apparently this is very hard to remove. And another small little upgrade we're gonna do is replace this plastic pivot pin here with a brass one. See, all you need is the proper tools. Big ones at that. That hole's looking a little bit crusty, so we're gonna come in with the old little wire wheel brush there, you can see. Now just tappy this thing in. I think this will work if I can hit it. No, it is going, it's just slow and steady. I've watched a few disaster videos on removing this pilot bearing. It is an absolute nightmare. A slide hammer tool will not work on this apparently, and the right way to do it is with this and this. And huge thanks to one of our subscribers, Denal, who gave me this pointer and said, don't even bother trying to do it any other way. This is the way to do it. Otherwise, you're gonna waste your time and you're gonna run into a lot of problems. So let's see if this works. Oh. Is this gonna like explode out of here?
I wonder. You take a bullet to the chest?
No, it's gonna move slowly, like any type of press fit thing does.
Oh, there it moved.
Did it move?
Yeah, it moved.
Oh wow,
yeah,
look at that.
It's moving.
What? Okay, this is one of the coolest things I've done in a while. Unbelievable. There. Wow, super cool. Let's pop this back in. I'm just gonna use a simple piece of wood and the mallet again. done. For those of you doing this job for the first time like me, you're probably looking at your throwout bearing thinking, wait a second, there are 4 sides to this. One tall one and one short one. Which one do I use? Well, after a little bit of research, all North American BMWs use the shorter side versus the European ones that use the longer side. So that means this is gonna go in as such like this, and then this pops into place here. If there's one thing you're gonna do when you're fixing or upgrading your gearbox, this right here is it. As you can see, this is missing this little piece of foam, and this foam is instrumental to having a proper tight feeling shifter. So these wear out, and these aren't incredibly expensive, certainly worth swapping out. We had all that slop, now you can just feel this is more precise than it was before. Pro tip I wish I knew, skip installing the shifter and tripod before putting the transmission back in. Also, tilt the engine back quite a bit so the bell housing can clear that large dual mass flywheel and clutch. Once you're past that step, it's pretty much smooth sailing from there. We do have what I think is, an order of process issue here. What I think I should have done is taken the shifter off instead of taking this whole assembly off, because now trying to get this back in here looks like it's impossible. It's not gonna happen. Shifter has been separated, which now gives me the opportunity to slide this in here, and looking at it, I don't think it's gonna be all that bad to secure this. So you can see I have just enough space here to squeeze this in. Oh, my head's super tight. Oh, this side's gonna be really, really tough, but I'll get it in there. For those of you that are wondering, this is, as I said, consider it almost like a tripod, where it does have a chassis mount bushing here that this slides into, and this does not come on the automatic cars. However, the provision is there on the chassis. So this is as simple as basically pushing this into place here. There, it's snapped in, and now we have what is the holder for the shifter. Let's see how this aftermarket shifter feels. You know what? It's actually not that bad at all. We have all 6 gears, and then there's reverse. One of the last remaining things to do is put back our manual pedal assembly, and you will notice though a bunch of wiring that has now showed up here. And first of all, I have to give a massive thank you to Denal, who's a fan who has been following this project, and he actually did a manual swap on his vehicle, on his E61, and said he would come and help me with the wiring. Massive, massive thank you, Denal, for you doing that. We finally have ourselves a 3rd pedal here. Yes, ready to go. Usually I do a lot of complaining about the engineering on BMWs, but this one I particularly like. Basically, that is our clutch master down there, and it requires a reservoir. On most cars, you would have a separate reservoir. On the BMWs though, they've built it into the brake master cylinder reservoir. So all I'm gonna have to do here is cut this little nipple off, slide this on, and we are done for a reservoir. So usually what you would do is drain some of the reservoir here down past this so we don't have a leak, but I'm gonna try to hot swap this because, well, I like to live dangerously here. I got a fresh razor blade. Should make easy work of cutting the plastic off right here. And there, done. See that? Lost so little fluid. Yeah, perfection. That was pretty good. Just tightening up the final bolt here on the drive shaft. And a quick note, you can use the automatic drive shaft. I think technically it's just a hair shorter than the manual one, but as you see, it bolts up, fits up perfectly fine. So we, at this point, I think, are ready to turn the key. This feels somewhat surreal. We have a 3-pedal car here. Clutch pedal feels good. Gearbox is feeling good. The one thing I forgot to mention is when Denal was here, he actually recoated this car with his Pro Tool programmer. Obviously the car doesn't want to think it's an automatic transmission equipped vehicle, because when it does, it's gonna give a whole lot of faults. This is open downpipe, by the way. We did not put the exhaust on, so let's see what happens here. Oh yeah, actually doesn't sound that bad. I'm gonna put it into drive. Off before it smokes us out here, but it's running, it is working. We have ourselves a manually equipped E61 wagon. Well guys, that is going to be a wrap for this one. Huge milestone down. We now have ourselves a manually equipped wagon, and in the next episodes, big things are coming as well. We've got a bunch of maintenance mods, performance mods to do, and of course we are gonna do some cosmetic stuff, so stay tuned. This build is just heating up, and a huge thanks to eBay for supporting this video series. If you guys are looking for any sort of performance parts, click the link in the description to go to ebay.ca, where you'll find everything you need, and by supporting them, you support us. So thanks guys, we will see you in the next one.